As of this year, I'm now 34 years old.
Damn.
I have been consistently working out in a gym setting for 15 years. So I lost almost 100 pounds when I was about 18, 19 years old. I lost all of my weight personally through nutrition. I did not exercise at all, but I went from fat Phil, the fat kid everybody picked on, to being too skinny. So that's when I actually started working out. And that's when I was about 19 years old after I lost weight. I'm now 34. So 15 years later, I have learned so many lessons in my experience. Other than 2 injuries that I've had, I've been consistently working out without taking off probably more than about a week over this 15-year period. My goal is to share with you everything that I've learned. I've seen it all over my time now as a full-time personal trainer. I've worked with so many clients. I've seen all the different experiences, all the different experience levels, people that are beginners that get burned out, people that are super experienced that get burned out, people that get hurt and never come back. I've seen it all. And what I want to do today is just share those experiences with you. I've also worked with other people who've had life-changing experiences through fitness, myself being one of those. And each one of these people teach us something throughout our journey. I learned stuff from the clients that we have here at OTG Fitness all the time. My name is Philip. I own and operate OTG Fitness, which is a private personal training gym on the south side of Houston. We currently have 2 locations, one in Webster and one also in Pearland. And in this video, I'm going to share with you the 5 biggest lessons that I've learned over the past 15 years. And I hope that these lessons can save you time, save you energy, save you frustrations, and help you get the best results possible. Lesson number 1, frequency and consistency are the most important part. Those 2 things are more important than the amount of time that you spend in the gym. Something that we often say here at OTG Fitness is frequency is greater than duration. So if you think about frequency, a little greater than sign, duration, right? So frequency is better than duration, right? And so is consistency. That's like the extra part that I threw in for this video. Consistency is also most important. When I was younger, when I first started working out, I was 19, 20, 21 years old. I had just lost weight. People were calling me skinny. I was ready to get huge, right? I went from about 180 pounds when I was at my smallest. And then within about 2 years, maybe 3 years, I had gotten up to about 220, 225. I was big, I was strong, and I was spending lots and lots of time in the gym. Now though, 15 years later, I want to spend less time in the gym and get just as good of results. So the duration is not as important as the results, right? So I want to be as efficient as possible. That's my number 1 takeaway for this video. Number 2, don't get hurt. Also known as train smart. I mentioned this in the intro. I've had 2 quote unquote major injuries in my exercise career, if you want to call it that. One was a lower lumbar strain, right? Actually, when we first opened OTG Fitness, I think it was a combination of stress, still trying to, work out really hard. I had just opened my own gym. I wanted to be the most fit person around, right? I wanted to be the personal trainer that everyone looked at. I was overdoing it and I had a really bad lumbar strain, and that took me out for probably a solid 6 months. And then actually not that long ago, maybe about a year and a half or so ago, I had a shoulder injury that slowly but surely came on. This is a big learning lesson for me because I probably felt this injury for a solid couple of months, but I just kept working around it, not worried about it. I'm okay. And next thing you know, it got to the point where I could barely do anything. I grew up playing baseball, I bowled a lot. Now I like to play disc golf, and all those are right side dominant sports. Ended up hurting that right shoulder. So not getting hurt though goes back to rule number 1, which is consistency. If you hurt yourself, you can no longer be consistent, right? So train smart. If you feel any type of interesting or new ache, pain that you're not familiar with, you haven't felt before, I'm not saying you don't have to do anything, but whatever you're doing in that moment, stop for a minute, maybe drop the weight, maybe change the exercise. There is always a way to still get good results without playing through pain. Going along with staying injury-free, it's important to remember that less variety is often better. This one's tough sometimes to accept because we always want to do something new. We see a new video on TikTok, we see a new video on Instagram. Somebody put out this crazy YouTube video of doing this super new exercise. Guys, less variety is better. I believe that not only in your nutrition, but in your exercise selection as well. Don't worry about doing the newest, latest, greatest exercise that gets you 2% better results, because I promise you it doesn't. What does get good results is do the fundamentals and do them really, really well. If you've seen a lot of our videos, you've probably heard me tell this story about when I was a kid. I had a baseball coach that had a baseball card of Rafael Palmeiro hitting off of a tee. The best players in the world still practice and do the fundamental things every single day. If the best baseball players in the world still hit off of a tee when they practice, you and I can still stick with the fundamentals of exercise when we're in the gym. And that will help us stay injury-free because we get really good at it. And that is the trick here. Instead of doing something different all the time, you can do the same things, but get really good at it. Perfect your form, increase your weight slowly but surely over time, and you can get great results without getting hurt. All right, number 3, biggest lesson that I've learned is having an accountability partner or something to strive for can make a much bigger difference than you think. You know, when I was younger, when I was first started working out, I was like, I'm doing this for me. I don't need anybody's help. I don't need an event. I don't need to sign up for anything. I'm doing this for me because I want to be the biggest, the baddest, the most jacked, and all that stuff. But now as I've gotten older, and I will admit that as my motivation to continue to be that person has slowly but surely dwindled, having someone to rely on, which now is like my wife, for example, we're always talking about like how to do things and make our household, you know, a better place. And, you know, she's doing a lot of high rocks now. She ran a 4-hour marathon recently. She's just so impressive. And having that person in my life is very motivating to me. Seeing her, like, no matter how sick she feels or tired, she finds a way to get her workouts in, and it's so motivating for me, and that holds me accountable. And back in the day, I thought that meant weakness. If I needed that, that means I'm weak. That's not true at all. It just means it helps me stay motivated and stay on track. Same thing with events. When I first started working out and when I was in my mid-20s even, I thought that signing up for events and things like that were just a waste of time. If I'm not gonna win the Houston Marathon,
what's the point of signing up?
But now that I'm older and more mature, that's because it forces me to compete with myself. A lot of times people ask me about in entrepreneurship, which is different than fitness, but has a lot of similarities. What do you love about being an entrepreneur? What keeps you motivated? Well, for me, it is the ability to compete with my own potential, to fulfill my own personal potential. That's what it's all about. Same thing in fitness. You're not necessarily competing with the professional marathon runners if you want to sign up for a marathon, or if you sign up for a high rocks race, you're not necessarily trying to beat the world record. You are trying to compete with yourself and become the greatest version of yourself. Previously, when I was younger, in my 20s, I thought that just meant that I was weak and I was avoiding the competition, because if I'm not gonna win, there's no point. That's not true at all. That competition, having an end date in mind, just allows you to compete with yourself that much harder. Number 4, just pushing more weight is not a goal. A lot of times for young, especially guys, it's like, I just want to bench 315. I just want to bench 405. I just want to bench 225, whatever it is. That's not really a goal. As we get older and more experienced, what we realize is no one likes to really work out anyways. This is what I've learned, right? No one works out just for the sake of working out. You don't exercise for the sake of exercising. You do it because of the outcome that it gives you. The ability to live a longer life, the ability to do things as you age, to go on hikes, to play with your kids, play with your grandkids. I'm only 34, but eventually I'm gonna be 44, and then I'm gonna be 54, and then I'm gonna be 64, and my body is gonna start to degrade. It is the reality of the situation. But if I am a stronger, more fit person now, that also means I'm going to be a stronger, more fit person later. So just lifting more weight, yeah, that is one goal, but it's not the goal. So it's very important to have goals outside of the gym that align with your goals inside of the gym. Let's say your goal is to hike the Grand Canyon, for example, and you know right now you're not fit enough to do that. Well, find something in the gym that you can set a goal for that will equate to hiking. So maybe it's time for running 5 miles or something along those lines. Even that's not necessarily in the gym, but it's still a fitness goal that is related in some way to hiking the Grand Canyon. My goal is not to run faster just for the sake of running faster. It's running faster and longer so I can do this other thing. So make sure that you find goals outside of the gym that align with goals that you can create inside of the gym. Before we move on to tip number 5, comment below what your current goal is, whether it's an in-gym goal or an outside of the gym goal. Comment below, let's hear it. And now number 5. I know I mentioned that the first one was my biggest one, but this one is super important as well. I don't even think, to be honest with you, that it's a tip. It's just a statement maybe, and something that I feel is very important to understand. And that's that exercise is simple. People love to overcomplicate exercise. Yes, it's hard. It is not easy. It is not complicated. It is simple. When you see people talking about how complicated exercise is, in my opinion, that's probably just because they want to sell you something on the back end. Exercise is extremely simple. You do not have to overcomplicate this to get results. It kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier, which is focusing on the fundamentals. Fundamentals, fundamentals, fundamentals. That's all you need, and I promise you will get where you want to go. There's a really great quote by Bruce Lee, and if you've never heard this, you're in for a treat. Bruce Lee one time said that when he first started martial arts, a punch was a punch and a kick was a kick. As he developed, and by the time he got his black belt, he learned all the different types of punches, all the different types of kicks. And then by the time he was like a 5-degree black belt or 10-degree black belt, whatever he was, he then again realized that a punch was just a punch and a kick was just a kick. So at the end of the day, the more experience you have, the more you realize how simple things really can be. And fitness is very much that. All right, guys, those are my 5 biggest tips from the past 15 years of staying consistent in the gym. I hope that they help you out. I hope that you can learn something from them. If I missed anything, please, again, comment below. Let me know what we missed, what your biggest tip is from your gym experience. And if you're a beginner and you need help with these things, you don't know where to go, you don't know where to turn, check us out. It's otgfitness.com. We're a private personal training gym. We have 2 locations currently on the south side of Houston. By the time you're watching this video, maybe we have several more. Who knows? I hope that becomes the case soon. Check us out at otgfitness.com. Feel free to comment. Make sure you like, subscribe, shoot us a DM. We're on Instagram, all the major platforms, and we're happy to help you out.